So, we're back, and we're talking drag, still, it's fun. I'll wait a little longer for people to log on and watch. One person, what's up? So, last time we were talking drag makeup, and that was a fun tutorial. It was a pain in the ass to take off. I felt like I should have done a tutorial of me like getting into it and then watching how ugly I get real quick with coconut oil and then how long it takes me to get that eyeliner off. Because it wasn't fun. But it was fun making the video, and yeah, we're gonna talk about wigs today. So we're gonna take a look at a couple of wigs that I have and a couple of wigs that I've been wearing lately, and we're gonna deconstruct them and then put them back together, and yeah, let's get into it. So the first one we're gonna look at, actually I'm not gonna show you this one first, I'm gonna show you this one. Because she's real cute, but a lot of people seem to think that this wig is like put together, like you have to buy a wig that's like one that you can put up like this, but it's actually two of my oldest wigs that I have. And I've had them since like I started doing drag, which was like 7 or 8 years ago. This was actually one of my first wigs. It was literally this simple, maybe to about here, so maybe what, 22 inches? Simple like Princess Jasmine hair. Straight up, big, beautiful, wavy-ish, curly-ish hair. Anyways, she was flawless back in the day, but she was retired like, 6 years ago. So they've been sitting in the bottom of a hair bin forever, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna rock this out, I'm gonna do it. So this is actually one whole other wig. All I actually did was take one afro wig. Oh my god, I really attached this on there. And took a hair elastic, like a simple hair elastic, scrunched it up in half. Now a wig cap obviously is a big circle that wraps around your head, right? So if you pinch it down the middle this way, you create two little circles. Those two openings are literally what holds on to these two little ponytails that sit right up here. So I know a couple people were asking me how I made this wig. That's how I made it. I literally snatched my other wig up, split it in two, and then put an afro on it. Super easy. This is only a front lace too, so the lace that's on here only covers here. This really has like the worst lace ever. The oldest laces in this wig. So it only goes to about your ear, to about here. Normally with a wig that you put up like this, it should have lace that goes all the way around, but mine doesn't. Because I have black hair, it's easy for me to fill in this gap where you see the wig head with my natural hair, because it would literally stick right through that, or you know, just change the color behind my head. And then under here is really easy because you just gotta pull it to that elastic, and then your little boy hairs will stick out. It's like baby hairs. Anyways, that's her. Figured I'd just give a little description on how she's made, how she's put together. She's literally two of my oldest wigs wrapped up into something new, so drag on a real dime. No money. But we are going to talk about her today, and this is the one we're going to work with the most. She needs to be sturdy. Okay, so I bought her for Pride, thinking that she would glow, and she doesn't. So, you know, whatever. But she's got this really awesome I bought it from Wigs by Webster. I think I'm saying that right, on Instagram. Amazing wigs. They got like Swiss lace, so it's stretchy and it's comfy. It's really, really nice. They have really good quality wigs. And they're a little expensive, but they got really good quality, so it's worth it. I'll show you what a wig looks like on the inside for people that have no idea. Never seen a wig before. This is what they look like. So these are all elastics, and these are tracks of hair. So what I mean by track of hair is literally a piece of string that's sewn, all the hair is attached to it. So each track is attached to this elastic, so when you put it on, it'll stretch and fit to your head. Most of the hair tracks are sewn way up on the top of the head. And this doesn't have much stretch, but the lace sits right along your hairline to give the same appearance that this looks like. I have hair obviously growing out of my head. This lace will do the exact same thing. And then you have little hair combs. These little guys hurt a lot, but they're really worth it if you have like hairspray in the side of your head. Even if it's a buzz cut like this will hold them onto your head really good. Just one on each side. I like to put clips in here that look like these guys. So you use these little hooks to sew them right onto the top of the wig here. And then when you go and you put the wig on, this little pick goes into your hair and snaps to hold your hair into it so the wig doesn't come off. So good trick for drag queens that like to flip their hair around and it always comes off. They're like $3 for a dozen. Fabricland. Anyway, so yeah, there's also one in the back for people that do have hair in the back of their head, not like me. And there's an elastic right here. So what this is meant for is actually there's little hooks, like a bra strap. They're actually meant to go through these little loops down here. And that's just so when you put it onto your head, you can adjust to how tight you want it. Now, I always want it as tight as possible because I want this to stay on my head. So what I'll use, I'll separate it and I'll put the lace on my forehead, flip this over my head, and then use this back comb underneath the elastic, so then that way I don't have to worry about gluing the hair in the back of my head to get this to go through it. I just need the support for the elastic. So that way you also don't damage your head. I don't wear wig caps, except I did in that last video with the red wig, but the only reason why I did that was because I wanted my black hair to not shine through the lace down the middle of my head, because then that would have just looked really silly. I have a black hairline. It would have looked weird. Anyway, so I'll show you what she looked like before. Very out of the box, shake and go. She had no style. She was literally, I think, something like, there's a lot of teased hair in here. This we're all gonna get out today. And then we're gonna give her a little like ponytail on the top with a little side piece action, and then a lot of the hair just sitting in the back. But I think she kind of looked like this in the beginning. So I mean, it was okay. But she had no real style. It was just like, yeah, this girl's got some big curly hair and she likes to wear it out. But we're gonna fix that because she needs a little bit more. Oh, little shush. So first things first, Wigs by Webster. Get yourself a decombing brush. Don't use all these other brushes. They'll work, but they'll probably damage your wig. Okay? Dollar store brushes, yeah, they're great, you know, because they're cheap. And if they break, they don't really matter. But the problem is, like these guys, and I've had this for, I think since I was in high school, it's really disgusting. I've used this a lot. As you can tell, I just need to throw this out. It's disgusting. And that actually just ripped out most of the hair out of my wigs. Then I thought I would use one of these guys, and it's really hard. This literally just knots your wig. So I've seen drag queens whip this through like straight hair, and I'm like, you're not gonna have any hair by the end of that. This, however, is literally meant to detangle wig hair. And I swear to God, it works 100 times better than anything else. I'm not just upselling this brush. It actually came free with that red wig, so it's not like it's like, buy this. It comes with the wigs. But it's really, really good for detangling. It's literally the way that the bristles sit. It's perfect. Anyway, so we gotta take out some of this teased hair. See how it stands up kind of on its own? This bit. We gotta get that to stop because I want the top of it to sit as flat as possible so that way the ponytail can be snatched and sit as high as possible without having too much pompadour look and do. Yeah, like all of this. So, rule number 1, pin down the wig. I totally forgot to do that. When you're pinning your wigs, these guys work awesome. Look like mini clown balloons. And I just pin the lace as close to the edge, but not close enough that you're gonna be like on the edge ripping the little hairs out, or ripping the ends out. Some people use tape and put these in. I don't really think it matters that much. Styrofoam doesn't really hold tape very well. And the reason why I'm putting so many in is the more is the merrier. If you have like a few in here and you rip this off, you're gonna have 4 big rips. If you have like 12 of these in there, the likelihood of it ripping is like none. Okay, see? It's not coming off. So the thing is if I brush this out, all these little guys are gonna kind of mix into one, and I don't want that to happen. So in a little bit, after I'm done brushing this top out, I'm gonna add some water to it, and then we're just gonna like finger comb it, and then that should, oh my God, take it out. So if you look at the underside, this hair hasn't even been like touched yet. So I'm not gonna brush everything out. I'm literally just gonna brush out this top piece that is all one big chunk. The nice thing is too, the look that we're gonna do today with this wig, it'll be okay to have the top of it brushed out because it's going to be laying flat anyway. For some reason I don't get to see any chats right now, so I apologize if you're trying to say something because I can't see anything. Now I'm going to show you on this wig, I was an idiot and decided that I wanted to glue it to the side of my head because I was going to be moving it around that day. Now, because I decided to do a look that had spray adhesive silicone cups glued to me, that spray adhesive was really good to stick those to me, but it's really bad for your skin. I had chemical burns on my nips for like 2 weeks. It really, really sucked. But my boobs looked great that day. But having that spray adhesive was like, oh perfect, I can use this on the edge of my hairline. Don't spray it on your face. I sprayed it on the wig and then stuck it to me. Still not a very good idea because I also damaged the wig. Spray adhesive, depending on what the product is, can melt your lace. This is still a plastic or a nylon lace. It melts, it chemical belts, it'll die. So you gotta be careful with it. But I do, and I can show you this piece right here. Oh my god, I can't even see. See the beige line through it that kind of looks like I ran my makeup through? That's glue. So we gotta cut that out, because otherwise I'm always gonna see it and it's always gonna drive me nuts. Unfortunately, it's a big chunk of the bottom part of my lace, closest to my ear. But if you take really sharp scissors and cut down along the hair, you can avoid getting ugly, dull cuts. But you might be able to save a little bit of the hair. Wow. All glue. And then you just gotta work it out. I don't know what's going on with this music, but I just put a mix on this time because I realized that last video I did, once I shut the music off, it got really dull, really fast. Not the most entertaining person in the world, so I was watching it going like, what just happened? No music, not cute. But some of this track is like, it's also 11-hour track, so some of it's really good, and then some of it's like freaky elevator, some of it's old school porno. It's bizarre. Okay. So this is what you want to avoid. Pulling little bits of lace out. I don't know if you can even see. That's what lace looks like. Just a little mesh, and each hair is sewn on one by one. We'll knot it in. So, what I was thinking, this is the, what do you call that? Little vampire hairdo. Widow's Peak? Is that what it's called? Someone will write something. Someone tell me if that's actually what it's called. I think it's called Widow's Peak. Anyway, this is where mine sits. So I want to remember, this is not my head. So I'm not going to make these wigs attached to, I'm going to make them on here, but I'm going to be modeling them off my own head. Because if I just make every wig attached to this and then just go, oh, it looks perfect, it's done, and then, you know, I have a drag show the next day and I don't think to look at it again. Once I put that wig on, depending on how the elastics and everything is sitting in the back, if I pull hair too tight in one area and then go and pull it on, that's not going to have enough room to perfectly sit around my head. So it might end up just not fitting, and then I'll have like, my ponytails will be right up on top of my head and I'll look more like an alien than a cute like little bunny look. So always, always, always take it off the mannequin, put it on, try it on, redo it. I'm not gonna go through all that today because we'll be here for like 5 hours. I can make a day out of this. And I want a couple little like side strands. So I'm gonna use like my finger and go like, I want them to be about here. So the distance of my finger to the middle of the Cupid's bow, considering it'll be about this one and the green dot. I don't want too much, just enough. That's what happens when you put glue in your wig. Your wig starts to hate you. Well, maybe we'll do less than that. That's cute. Okay. And then we'll take... Now, I'm not going very deep into here because I don't want a lot of the hair, but keeping in mind everything you do with a lace front has like a good 1 to 2 inches of lace. So that gap gives you enough room that, like, if I wanted to even do a little side braid, I can run the braid up and just part the hair, and that'll take up the parting of the lace, the parting of the tracks will show through. But if you take a braid and perfectly line it up, you can even sew it onto the wig so it permanently stays there. And then you don't have to worry about any of that, like showing or whatever. But the lace does give you a lot of room that you could even start a little French braid from it, working your way back. Sorry, I'm looking at my back to the camera. There's so much hairspray. I should have done a video of cleaning wigs first. My bird outside apparently loves the music. I say that and he stops. Okay. So we have this one. This one. So we're going to use these two, and they're going to sit just off to each side like that. So I'm going to tie them in a little knot to keep them out of the way. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to take the hair behind those two pieces and just take as much as I can that's like almost like all of this hair, and I want to pull it back, and what I want to do is put a ponytail up there and have the rest of this just fall beautifully behind it. Now doing that is actually trickier than it looks, because the back of a ponytail or the back of a wig, depending on how far that hard cap was that has no stretch, the one that I showed you that sits like right here, if I move it too far behind, I'm going to be where hair is attached to elastics. In which case, every time I put the wig on, it'll give me a little bit of stretch, but it may make this fall loose and get poofy. And I really want that to sit flat. So parting this gets a little complicated here because you also don't want any side track showing. So I'm going to take my little comb and I only want hair that's just past this point, because then it'll be like hair from right here. And I'm just guessing right now because I kind of use my finger as a measurement, but if you really don't know, put it on your head and do it, because it's going to save you so much time. When I first made that wig, I made it like 3 times. Took it on and off my head like 3 times. Every time I'd redo it, I'd literally take the whole thing apart. And actually, the wig that is on the bottom wasn't the first choice wig that I put on there. I just found it later on and was like, ooh, this might work better. So I used it. Okay, so that's one side. But you can see, if I part it, right here, all these tracks start showing up. Now, it's actually super hard to see, so that's a good thing, because when you're out in public, you don't want people to see your tracks. Unless you're one of those girls, in which case, do you go live your life. So, coming back from the same spots, I want this here. Parting an already teased out fluffy looking wig like this is kind of complicated. You don't want to just yank the hair apart. You're going to end up with a bunch of knots near the ends. So it's best to just go slow with it, use your hair pick, use your fingers, and just go piece by piece. Don't rush through it, and don't like bring your hands. If it stops and you're trying to like finger comb your wig and your fingers get stuck, stop finger combing your wig. One, stop brushing your wig because it's probably had enough. And you have to start at the bottom. So when you brush a wig, it's normally best to start from down here, because then you'll get those little knots out first. Then as you go up, you're parting the hair, you're separating it as it goes through. But if I start brushing from here, I'm already knotted. And then that knot turns into a tease. And a tease is basically where hair gets just so tangled up on itself that you can't pull those hairs apart anymore. It's a real pain in the butt, especially when you want to go and wash your wig, because your wig's going to come out with all these like really beautiful long strands and then a really tight coiled kinky bottom end, and that's the end that's going to lock up all these hairs and make it so you can't part your hairs anymore. It's not going to fall nice like that. So I have a decent amount, I think. I think it's low enough on each side. Maybe I'll take a little bit more. And then I want most of the hair that's underneath this. Not going too far down, but just far back enough that where that ponytail needs to sit, that's where it's gonna stop. That's where I'm gonna stop pulling. Because I want as big of a ponytail as possible, but I want as much hair to be back here as well. Without track showing. See how you can see that track? That we don't want. So I'm just gonna take a little bit out. Now obviously there's gonna be hair falling down on top of this, but after getting down to that low, I'm realizing I'm already on elastic hair. Hair that's tracks this way being held on by elastics. Up here, there's no stretch. Right here though, there is stretch, and that stretch is gonna make the ponytail's lifespan die. And if I want to wear this more than once, which I do, I want it to last as long as possible. Now the whole brush from the bottom thing with this brush, I really don't care. I can literally hammer through, and it does a good job. So, that looks kind of good. I'm just going to put a hair elastic in it for now. What I need to do is I need to build a base for this ponytail to be attached on. I need a piece of hair that's going to wrap around the base of the ponytail. And then I also need the right color of elastic to start the base. I'm not just a basic queen, I'm just using, you know, black hair ties and stuff. I like to actually color code everything, so my hair elastic is also the same color as the hair. That one was easy, everything was black, but same goes for the red wig. I still needed nude hairnets to make sure that I came up with the right look. A lot of the time when you're a drag queen, you're in the dark anyway, but it's those little details that people will catch. The camera will see if someone puts a flash on more, you know. But you do need to think of these little details. How the lace is gonna sit, how it's gonna glue down. If you have like sides that lift up like this wig did to me a lot, what ends up happening is your illusion's dead. You're just a man in a dress. I like to think of myself as a man that can pull off a real hot girl in a dress, but you know, there's ways of doing it that really set people in that like awe factor. You know, my whole thing with doing drag is I want people to go, wow, I want people to stop and be like, did you see that? That's like, that's my high. It's not just about the attention though. I mean, I do love doing drag for the people and stuff in my community, but you do it a lot for your vanity as well. Otherwise, RuPaul's Drag Race wouldn't have a show. So, I'm taking a little piece from the back, right where that lace stops getting stretchy, or stops getting unstretchy, whatever. And I'm just gonna do a really tight braid near the base here, because I want this ponytail to really hold up in that one little spot. I don't want it to slide around the wig. I don't want it to have like a one-sided sloppy ponytail. Had that plenty enough times in the past for me to learn how to do this trick. Sorry. Alright, so do a little braid. Okay. When you do that to the end of a braid and brush out the extra bits and then twist it, it's gonna hold that braid without having to put anything in it. Putting a clip in and stuff like that, you can end up seeing the clip or whatever, and I just like to keep it clean, no clips, just faith. Alright, we're gonna take this off. Now I'm holding it flat, thinking use your hand. Good measurement sometimes. That's nice. Tell people not to text me right now. Okay, so using my hand as my little like measuring tool where my wig sits, I kind of want it to end just before where my middle finger ends, so about my fingertip down. And that's where I want the wig to really like be perked up. I'm gonna take that little braid and I'm gonna wrap it around there as tight as I can. Close to the base of where that braid starts, so that way it doesn't give you any room for the ponytail to loosen and fall to each side of the head. Also, as you're looping it, if you loop it around itself like it's coiling up the wig, it'll be a lot easier when you wrap that little bit of hair around that to really hold up the wig. This. Unfortunately, they don't make blonde bobby pins look really nice on light hair, but we have one, so it'll work. Now I'm gonna puncture it into the head somehow, like that. Now the wig can be pulled and played with. I can pull the ponytail back, and then that makes it snatch, so that way when I go to work on the rest of this, it's not gonna move. I can fiddle with the back a little bit more. The only thing I don't want this to look like is like an elf from like Lord of the Rings. What's his name? The blonde guy. I don't want to look like him. So we need to work on that. Water. The reason why I'm putting water in here is it's gonna make some of the what do they call that? Static. It'll make some of the static go down, but then it'll also wet the tips, so the tips will separate like it does at the bottom of the wig. Girl, she is dry, she is dusty. She needed this. Okay. This stupid thing does not want to stay in the head. Okay. So I'm gonna go in with the elastic. Nice thing about these elastics is that they're straight up rubber. So once you put this in the wig, it's kind of impossible to take them out. You gotta cut them out. But when it comes to designing these wigs, it holds the hair. It's not letting anything go. If you got these in your hair, I think you'd probably freak out because they don't like to come off. So I'm actually gonna leave that bobby pin in there because when I go to put this on my actual head, I'm gonna take my hair and pull as much of it as I can into a little ponytail back here. And with hair glue and stuff like that, it's literally gonna make it so I can pin into that, so this ponytail sits where my ponytail sits. And I can do whatever I want and it's not gonna come off. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit from each side here. This is the back. I'm going to take a little bit from each side. Actually, it's a little far apart. A little from there. A little from here. Now I know I said I didn't want to see the back tracks, but this is where that ponytail sits, so it's fine. Twist them. Now we're gonna brush these out, but when we brush them out, we're also gonna comb them and hairspray them so they go flat. Okay. Tresemme, big can, cheap, works the best. Got to be as good too, but it's also stupid expensive for what it is. This goes on sale at Russell. Okay, so sorry, I'm not a very good host with this in my mouth. This is the tricky part. I want the hair to stay together. Do a little twist. Oh my God. And I'm going to start wrapping it around. And And when I wrap it around, I'm gonna flatten out the hair so it kind of creates like a sheet. It's hard to tell, but I'll show you once it dries. Poor fish tank's like, stop putting stuff on top of us. So if you look here, it's literally flat, like a sheet of paper. Looks like a sheet of gold. And we're gonna wrap that around the base of the ponytail, try and keeping it as flat as possible. Okay. A little bit more hairspray in the end. It's nice when my can's dying out. Alright. Look at how pretty that looks when the sun hits it. Yes! Okay, so I'm gonna lay that flat. And then spray it. Okay. So I am gonna take a little bit of the middle of this ponytail and just tease it so it sits up higher. But I'm only taking like a middle strand. So we're just gonna take like a little bit like this, just out of the middle of the thing. So that just a little owner. Okay. The only thing we want to keep from happening is this looking like a dreadlock. So the outside pieces need to spread apart, become their own little pieces again. Okay. Okay. So now that that is up, let's just back this up a little so you can see what I did. We're gonna undo these so we can take a look. Now for the sides, I do want it to be kind of blown out a little bit. So what I'll do, let's find my hairbrush. I'm just gonna comb this back. I'm also gonna open up the hair a little bit here so I can kind of fix it a little. When you brush it out like this too, it kind of makes the hair look a little bit bigger. It loosens up the hair a little bit, so that way it can fluff up a little. If I take a little bit more spray, dry cleans a lot of it. Really bring her out. Yeah, if you got a hairspray problem, I'm your worst nightmare. The bigger the hair, the closer to God, honey. If you're atheist, then you're closer to something. Okay. Higher power, I'll go with that. I'm more atheist anyway. Okay. So, I do want this to be tighter though. The object is that you really want this ponytail to sit high enough that the hair up here sits nice and high and sits separate from everything else. It makes it look like you got a full ponytail versus like a half a ponytail. Because once you part a wig like this, obviously you're splitting the wig in two, which means you get less hair volume on the bottom and less hair volume on the top. You want as much volume as possible, then you brush it out a little bit and load it with hairspray. The true Jersey way. Load it with a lot of hairspray. Okay. Well, we're drag queens, so it's better. You can literally model this wig and shape it, so that way when you put it on, you know exactly how high it needs to sit. You can know exactly how big you want it. You can make it bigger. So, I am gonna show you a little drag trick that involves these things. Oops. Can't even hold on to it. These little alligator clips. These are really great for when you want to hold your baby hairs. Hold the baby hairs up and keep the sideburns back so it sits nice and sits kind of not behind the ear but just pulled back. But, okay, good. I thought I only had one. There we go. Then what it does is it like almost makes this little wave effect for the hair to come back like this and swoop out. Do the same for the other side. That way when these hairs come down, these side pieces won't blend too much into them, and this will all be sitting more in the back of the hair, or back to the shoulders, and these will be the little front pieces. Now I use my breath, like I blow on this. What I can feel it doing is the hairspray just gets sticky versus just drying right away, because when it dries right away I find it needs a little bit of time to relax and fall a little bit, where it'll do that when it's still sticky. It won't do that if you use a blow dryer and it just dries. It also gives me like kneading time where I can sit there and knead at the hair and pull it in different, ways. Get more of it to stand out, make more of it come forward. Makes it look bigger. Now, I'm gonna take these out. make sure there's no knots in them. Really pull them apart, because what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna get them nice and wet, and they're gonna get nice and kinky together, and that way it's not gonna look like fuzzy like it is here. It's gonna look a little bit more sleek and slick. So I'm gonna get a different hairspray actually. I don't know where I'm going, all of my stuff is here. Actually, we're gonna use a mousse, because a mousse will dry, but it'll keep it together. Okay. Always comb through it to make sure that it's one. Okay. And that should bring back its little bounce. Like, I do want that wet look, but I do want it to be still kind of kinky and curly. Okay. This looks cute. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm not talking very much. Kind of get into the music a little bit. So I thought about doing 2, but actually I think having 4 of these looks really, really good. A little separate, but that looks dope. And then this will dry together like that, almost like a hair gel. It'll do kind of the same effect, but it'll get nice and curlier. Gravity will kind of step away a little bit and let it bounce back. I just talked about gravity. Okay. So I'm just gonna blow dry that a little bit. So. Alright. Ta-da! She does look cute. I feel like maybe I could do like one more here, but I don't want too many in front of my face, and I gotta remember this isn't the shape of my head, right? This head's a lot smaller than mine, so I don't want to put it on and have like too many things in front of my face, and I can't get it back underneath the ponytail. Normally I would clean the lace too before doing this, As you can see, this lace does look dirty. It looks like it's got my makeup in it, which it does. But it also has glue in it, so instead of fussing with it too much and then having to worry about glue and whatnot, I was like, you know what? I'll just add more hairspray to it. Now for the moment of the truth, we're gonna try this on and see if it even looks good. But there's only one person watching right now, so that doesn't make me feel too bad. If it looks bad, it looks bad. Okay, so we're gonna flip it upside down, holding on to the back and the front. So you can see there's your 4 pieces. Now, you're gonna put your forehead right here where the edge of this. Using this elastic, you're gonna flip it over the back of your head. So I like to align it onto my forehead, pull this back, and then this, tucking it underneath that elastic. Yes, it's huge. Okay, so then place it down. Now see, I could have backed this up further. I'm just gonna tuck my hair. And then when I'm ready to wear this, I'll take some glue and glue this down so that way it's flush up onto my head. Glue that down as well. Yes, honey. Maybe I will pull some baby hairs down, just some little guys, and do a little forehead detail, but I think she's cute. Let me do this one as one. This looks sloppy. And that's that. Now imagine my face is done. And I got a cute, you know, filter and stuff. See? And that ponytail won't move. It will stay in that one spot on the top of your head. And you won't have to worry about it. How's the back look though? Is she cute? Alright. So I think that concludes this video. I think we've rambled on enough and we've created something beautiful and we've kept ourselves occupied for another, I don't know how long I've been doing this, hour or so. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can DM me. We can talk more wig and more drag. And yeah, thank you Max, you guys are awesome. And have a lovely quarantine. Stay home. Don't let your kids out. Hide your kids, hide your wife. This Corona's gonna come and get you. Be smart, be safe, and love you guys.